Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to have Heather with us today from Heather Studio. You can check out her YouTube channel below. She's going to be sharing with us her incredible story of how she went from an MRI tech whose hours were being cut at the hospital that she worked at to a multiple six-figure Etsy seller, her very first year of selling Etsy print-on-demand. Be sure to stay for the entire interview because she's going to be sharing with us some really hot tips on how to get sales year-round on Etsy, as well as her own personal SEO keyword research method. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I'm so excited to have you here today. I've been watching your channel for I think you've been on YouTube for about a year and a half, right? A little over a year now?
Yep.
And I've been following your journey on there, and your story really resonates with me because we started around the same time. We had the same goals. We kind of just both happened on print on demand. So super excited to have you on today to have you share your story with us. By the way, this is Heather Studio. You can find her channel in the link below.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and let us know, how did you get started with print on demand? How did you get started on this journey?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your channel. And I started in 2020 it started in healthcare actually for me, where I was working as a full-time MRI technologist and the pandemic hit. They needed to cut certain departments at my hospital that I was working at as far as hours go, so they could fund the nursing staff. So imaging was one of the departments that was cut very severely at that time as far as funding and hours. So my hours were cut in half. I was grateful, beyond grateful, I had a job still because I know a lot of people were laid off, other people were let go of, and I just got my hours cut in half. It wasn't that great of a loss for me, but I did just buy a house at that time. At the same exact time my hours were cut, I remember when my manager, she was like, oh, we're going to have a staff meeting. And then she looked around the room and said, we're going to have some layoffs. And as far as this department goes, you all have the option as a group collectively to decide if you want to cut your hours, and everyone like kind of take an hour cut or like a few weeks off. And then the other people will be a few weeks on. It's up to your department, but we do have to cut the funding and the hours for this department. And I remember she looked at me directly and she was like, I know you just bought a house, so I'm so sorry I have to do this to you. And I was like, it is what it is. I'm grateful I have a job at this point, but I'll find a different, revenue or income stream that I can find to make a side hustle out of. So I went online. I found Etsy and print on demand one night when I was on call for the hospital. I could never sleep when I was on call at the hospital. I feel like some people are good at sleeping when they're on call. I just never was, because it just was like, I was always nervous that I wasn't going to get the call, or maybe I'd miss the call to go to the hospital. I worked at a stroke center, so any strokes that happened, MRI, usually they're on call for their hours. So I'd be on call from like I work 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. during the pandemic. Then I'd be on call from 11 p.m. So if I were driving home, I could get called back at any time, basically. So I remember I would get called out 2 to 3 times a night. And during those nights when I was just, not sleeping, I'd look on my phone at side hustles to do for the hours I did have. So my hours were cut in half, but the half that time when I was working, it was on call or doing my half hours just 1 or 2 days a week when I did have my hours. So anyways, long story short, when I was on call, I found print on demand and Etsy on one of those nights. And I just remember I saw on YouTube people were to print, pack, or ship your items yourself. You could find a print on demand company. They would do that for you. So I was just in awe. I tried my hand in it in 2020 and it was a huge fail because production times were so backed up and I was a new store. I had a few orders come through and I just knew that my reviews would be really, really low, and that I would not get traction if I kept my store open. So I said, you know what, this is a sign, this isn't for me. And I also got my hours back at the hospital I was working at full time. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. I got my hours back. I don't need the side hustle anymore. So I closed my shop. I was working full time and I realized that I was really sad in 2020 when I finally got the hours back. So that's when I had a heart-to-heart moment with myself. And I said, you know what, I'm sad right now, even though I should be very grateful and happy because I want to be an entrepreneur at the end of the day. And I just want to try this again. So in 2021, I reopened my shop. I had 0 sales for the first 4 weeks. I think I finally got one sale, one organic sale by the end of January. It was a Valentine's Day sale. And then by the end of 2021, I had over 250K in sales,
Wow.
over 100K in gross profit, which was really cool. And then last year I had 180K in sales. Right now I'm sitting at like 440K plus in sales, which is really cool. I really did not post any new listings. I mean, I posted maybe 50 listings from just customer requests on different designs to do.
Mhm.
But that's the most I did. And even with me kind of just letting it do its thing last
Mhm.
year, still I made a full-time income. I quit my 9 to 5 with Etsy and print on demand, and now I'm on YouTube teaching it, and I'm still working on my shop. I still have an active shop, but I've really just kind of been laid back, and I'm still making a full-time income with it. So I've just loved finding the world of Etsy and print on demand and what it's brought to my life. So
That is so exciting. Like,
yeah.
that's just like, oh, it just gives me chills. I just love hearing stories like that. It totally changed your life. And what's really cool is that after you did all that front loading, you put up all those listings, but that takes time. It takes skill. It's really hard at the beginning, especially if you're like not familiar with how to do that. Because I personally wasn't. But you persevered, and now you were able to make a full-time income, and you didn't have to redo all of that work. You're essentially making money, a lot of that, while you were sleeping, or while you were, doing some other project, or spending time with family. And so that's just really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. I do have a couple more follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend as far as niches? Like, do you recommend that people are posting in evergreens or in holidays, or like a combination of both?
I definitely recommend both. I feel like laying the foundation of your store for evergreen niches, if you find those really passionate ones that are high demand and they sell all year round. Examples of that is, to me at least, the mom niche. I feel like once you find the subcategories of the mom niche, that's where you can really hit gold and really sell all year round. If you think about it, the mom of twins, mom of triplets, things like that, those are the niches I would prioritize when I begin, and then maybe branch out into decorating your shop with those seasonal niches like Christmas, Halloween, Easter, maybe. I think those are all great. But to get those all year round sales, doing the evergreen and then a mix of the seasonal, that's my personal favorite type of thing to do. But I know people who just do holidays and they make a full-time income off of the season of, September through December. That's all they need for yearly revenue, really. And then the rest of the year, they can just vacation if they want. So I've seen people do that and be successful with that as well. So I think there's no wrong way of doing it. But I personally like the all year round sales. It makes me feel better day to day. So
Agreed.
yeah.
Well, thank you. That's really valuable tip with mom sub niches, because there's a lot of them. So thank you. I hope you're taking notes at home, because this is like golden nuggets here.
Yeah.
So my next question would be, what do you recommend for keyword research, or like tips for keyword research?
Yeah. So generally speaking, with keywords, I like to go on either EverBee or eRank. So generally I start with eRank, and I will look like for the example of the mom niche, the gift for mom. If you type in gift for mom on eRank, then what I like to do is I like to go to the competition. So I will tab on the competition arrow. So it will show me like the lowest competition. And then I look at the column that is primarily focused on demand of those keywords. So how many searches is those low competition niches getting per month? So I will look at that column, and then when I see the green that it's high search, low competition, that's how I find my keywords, like the little keywords that other people won't think of, especially with the mom niche. That's very saturated as far as competition goes, but I feel like it's still very possible to break through the saturation on high competition niches and high competition keywords. But that's how I found my keywords, is just looking at what's lower competition, higher search volume. But I still use high competition, high search volume keywords as well. I try to kind of branch out. So I'll start with broad keywords. I'll have the broad high competition keywords in my SEO, but then I will also take some lower competition keywords and higher demand niches into my SEO as well, if that makes any sense. So
yeah, no, it totally does.
yeah. So like, I guess example for anyone watching, because I know when I say that, it's a little bit vague when you don't have that example. So if I did like a mom t-shirt, then I do like mom t-shirt gift for mom of three. That would be the mom of three being the lower competition type of keyword search. So that's kind of how I tie in my SEO. But I find that through just doing eRank or even EverBee, if I look at the bestsellers on EverBee, you'll notice a lot of those bestsellers are doing around the same things of what I'm talking about. You'll find those very narrow sub niches that they have tied into that SEO. So
I get SEO questions all of the time. So that
yeah.
clarifies a lot for people out there who are wondering about SEO. So basically what I'm gathering is you put like those higher competition keywords at the beginning, which is what I personally do, because those are the words that you ultimately want to rank for on Etsy. However, they are high competition. So you really have to have those long tail keywords there after, those two or three words that you want to really want to rank for, they're higher competition. Then you need those long tail, lower competition keywords, where less people are searching for those words, right? There are less people, but because of that, you're going to be more easily found. And if someone likes that listing that you've created, and you've worked hard to create a thumbnail that stands out, you've added new value to the market, you're using high quality mockups, and they found your listing with that lower competition keyword. And if they click and add that to cart, or they like it, or they favorite it, and they're interacting with it, then it's going to push that listing up higher in the ranking so that you can rank for those for those higher competition keywords. And that's how the game works. That's how that's the SEO algorithm works. And so that's why it's really important to have those strategies in mind whenever you're doing your SEO keyword research. So thank you, Heather. That was really valuable.
Yeah, I love that. I love the long tail keyword phrases too. I think that as we go forward, at least for ranking for any search engine, not even just Etsy, what's really important is those long tail keywords. A lot of people are getting very specific, even if we look at ourselves as consumers and customers of other, websites. For me personally, when I was searching for, like an example of my consumer, what I'm searching for is I'm getting married, for those who don't know, in September. So I was just looking for,
congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And
So
I was
exciting.
just looking for a dress for a bridal shower, but I'm getting it when you put in the search criteria. It is just madness now, because so many people are keyword stuffing listings. And not to say it stinks that as Etsy sellers, we do have to do that now. It's the algorithm has almost made us into that, because you can't rank for just a simple title anymore. So, and that's one issue on Google that you'll find is, when I'm looking for a bridal shower dress and I'm looking for a specific style of the dress, let's say that I'm looking for a romper or something like that, I have to put specific keywords now. So maybe if I want lace in the dress or anything like that, and that's where the long tail keyword phrases come into play is, if you're looking for a bridal shower dress with lace, that is a long tail keyword phrase. And for those who don't know, long tail keyword phrases are 3 keywords or more. Short tail keyword phrases are 3 keywords or less, as far as I know. Angel, maybe it's a little bit different, but so with that being said, that's what's really important now going forward, is having long tail keyword phrases, not using mom gift or bridal gift. Sometimes that's going to trap you in a box and end you on like the last page of the search, because your customers are specific. And when you create listings, you have to create those listings speaking to a real human and not just that algorithm anymore. And I think that's what's really important going forward for, newer sellers on the platform.
Yeah, being able to put yourself in your customer's shoes and type in what they would type in, what they're actually searching for. Absolutely. Well, thank you. That's very valuable. All right. So any last minute tips for new sellers who are just starting, or they're on the fence thinking about starting an Etsy shop?
Yeah. I think it's just getting in those initial listings and just starting. I feel like that's the most vague and simple tip I could give, but
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of new sellers, they'll consume YouTube videos for a really long time about Etsy and print on demand, but not post yet, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not calling out anyone. And if you feel attacked and you're watching this video and being like, oh my gosh, that's me right now, I've been there too. I consumed videos for a little bit, and I just had a moment with myself that I was like, I need to start and I need to just post and gain that experience. You may have a lot of questions of, how does Etsy and print on demand work? What happens after someone purchases the item and the order goes to your print on demand provider? I know I had that, and it wasn't until I did the listings, I got the sales, then I gained that experience. And even your first 100 listings, I hate to bring a spoiler alert to anyone, but usually those first 100 listings will be ones that you will deactivate in the future.
Mhm.
And although, you know, I'm happy that my past self did those listings, because if she didn't do those listings, oh my gosh,
Right.
I sound like I have like two personalities right now, and that I'm like that movie like Split. But if my past self didn't do those listings, then I would not be here, because I gained that experience. I gained that momentum in my business. So it's just doing the things, making the mistakes that a lot of new Etsy sellers make. And then also Etsy also suspends a lot of stores when they first start out. My store got suspended. Angel, I don't know if your store got suspended in
Oh, I didn't. I was
the
always
first
one of the
one.
lucky ones.
Wow, you were so lucky. My store got suspended when I first began, because I tripped the Etsy wire due to just uploading high volumes of listings when I began. And it, you know, I've had a lot of people on my YouTube come in and say, hey, I'm not going to post as quickly just due to that. But even those people still get suspended. So it does happen. That's something that, you know, can happen to a lot of stores. Some stores maybe, you know, good like yours, Angel, where, you know, you somehow escaped that area of Etsy suspensions. But you know, just starting and kind of getting through that first few months, because Etsy also starts building trust in your account by how old it is or how new it is as well. So even just opening your store and getting that history and getting one listing up, that's what I suggest starting out. And then also just researching the top stores. Like Angel said, I recommend maybe checking out the interview with Angel on my channel as well, because Angel made some really good points about that. When you first start out on Etsy, it's really good to, you know, branch out to different niches and research the top stores on Etsy and what's trending on other stores, finding those clues. Like you said on my channel, where if you find those clues of what worked for other stores, you'll find that it may work for your store as well, because you have that data from the top Etsy stores. So just researching what's working for others and making it your own. That's what's really important, I think, if you're a new Etsy seller. So hopefully those tips help anyone who's starting out.
Thank you so much for all those tips. This was super valuable. I really enjoyed listening to your story and relating to your story. And I really appreciate all the valuable tips you gave to all of my followers. So definitely check out the interview I did on her channel as well. Check out Heather Studio's channel below and give her a follow, because she has some really, really valuable YouTube content on Etsy print on demand and how to scale your shop and how to start your shop. So be sure to check that out. Thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me. See you guys.